83 years ago, an officer-involved shooting in a small town in northeastern Utah left one man dead, two sent to prison, and the man who pulled the trigger cleared of any wrongdoing. An open and shut case, it was front page news here in Las Vegas, but was the whole story ever really told? I've got some hand-me-down information courtesy of a person News 3 viewers are familiar with.
I look at this old place, it's not very big, and I can only imagine what happened in those hours in the middle of the night.
News 3 anchor and reporter Reed Cowan is the grandson of Duchesne, Utah businessman Reed Cowan, who ran a popular spot to grab a bite and wet your whistle, but with a little something extra.
My grandpa's cafe had illegal slot machines, and that's where the drama began.
When Nevada legalized gambling in 1931, mass production of slot machines followed. Around that time, a man named Earl Nash arrived in Las Vegas.
He came into Boulder City and he worked on the dam for a while, and he got mixed up with some criminal elements.
In 1933, Nash was run out of Las Vegas for shooting guns, but 5 years later arrived in Duchesne with two other men.
They came out loaded for bear.
At a service station across the street, night watchman Eddie Kielbasa was immediately suspicious, according to his grandson Kelly.
I guess my grandfather saw it and notified the sheriff.
Marshal Harold White arrived and confronted Earl Nash while he was attempting to leave the cafe with a slot machine.
My grandfather went back to get a gun, and in the ensuing scuffle, the bad guy was terminated.
Nash died instantly. His accomplices were apprehended a few hours later and sentenced to 1 to 20 years with applications for parole by both C.E. Carr and Gerald Grant Allen that same year. Curiously, none of the newspaper articles make any reference to the fact the slot machines shouldn't have been there in the first place, which leads to the question, was it even a burglary or was it more of a repo?
How else would my grandpa get slot machines? How else magically would Las Vegas ruffian, who was a known gambler at the time, know that there were slot machines there in the middle of the night to take?
All of the players in the original drama have since passed away. A Cowan's Cafe still operates in Duchesne, Utah, but there's no back room with illegal slots. Utahns who want to drop a few bucks in slot machines are always welcome to come here to Las Vegas.
Wow. I mean, what a family history.
Yeah, I tell you what. Family reunions and therapy. Let me just tell you about that. Yeah, pretty fascinating though to find out that your grandpa, who you're named after, may have had an illegal slot machine thing going on in the middle of Mormon, Utah.
Yeah, well, you know you've made it if you're in Tom's Trivia. So. if you're in the video vault,
That's a treasure to be.
you're kind of a big deal.
Yep, love my Tom Holly. All right.